Still me, Teacher Girly, and for today we will go ahead and wrap up the listening and speaking lessons that we had for the Unit 2. And please make sure that you do have your workbook with you as well. For the the later part of these slides, you will be given activities from your workbook. So now let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. Still me, Teacher Girly, and first, we discussed in this unit, from listening, we discussed listening for main idea. For speaking, we discussed about asking for quantity. We discussed what quantity is. We also discussed the phrases that imply quantity, when to use how many and when to use how much. And lastly, for our speaking, we discussed the words with suffixes ans and ant. We also answered the question, what are suffixes and how to use the suffixes ans and ant. So for listening, mainly we only discussed what is the main idea. We discovered or we learned that main idea is the main point of the paragraph. It is basically what the paragraph is talking about. Now, how to identify the main idea of a paragraph? Because basically main idea can be found anywhere in the paragraph, but mostly it is found in the first part of the paragraph for introduction and repeated at the last part of the paragraph for emphasis. So, how do you identify a main idea? First, you have to listen from the beginning till the end, because of course you will not be able to identify what the main point of the paragraph is or what is the paragraph all about if you had not listened to it from beginning to end. Second, you will know that the particular idea is the main idea when all the other ideas supports or is all about the main idea. So everything or all the other details in the paragraph is mainly about that particular sentence or about that particular subject. So that's how you listen for idea. Most importantly, you have to listen from beginning to end so that you will identify what was introduced in the beginning and what was emphasized at the very end. And you also need to take note of the middle part of the paragraph or the passage, because everything in the middle part should support the main idea. Okay. Proceeding, for our speaking, we discussed about quantity. So we learned that a quantity is the amount or number of accountable or uncountable things or nouns. Now we have here two phrases to imply quantity. That is how many. How many is used for countable plural nouns. Countable plural nouns mean those nouns that we can count, like books, tables, rooms, and then how much is used for uncountable nouns, basically those nouns that we cannot count. For example, hair, sugar, salt, water. So we have here examples. How many dogs do they have? We use how many because basically dogs the word dogs is is a countable plural noun. You can basically count the number of dogs that you have. Number two, how many desks are there in the classroom? So we use how many because you can count the number of desks inside a classroom. Basically, desks is a countable plural noun. Number three, how much oil is needed to fry a chicken? So we use how much because of the fact that we cannot count oil. Number four, how much alcohol was sold this month? So we use how much because alcohol cannot be counted as well. So you only have to remember two things in asking for quantity. Use how many for countable plural nouns, and use how much for uncountable nouns. And lastly, we discussed about suffixes. Now, we learned that that suffix is a syllable or a word part added to the end of the word. And you also have to remember that adding a suffix in a word can change the meaning of a particular word. So that's all that we learned. Since we already discussed or wrapped up everything that we learned from Unit 2, let's go ahead now and answer your workbook. That would be page 16. Make sure that your book is opened with the page 16. Now, to those students who do not have their book yet, since the page here is reflected on the screen, you can just get any piece of paper and then answer on that piece of paper, and then later on send a copy or a picture of that particular paper on the assignment, which I will be sending after this. So these are the words that you have to look in each sentence. These are the words with the suffixes ans and ant. So ignorance, fragrant, arrogant, fragrance, ignorant, and arrogance. So instruction. Read each sentence, circle ans or ant, then match with the picture. So I will be giving you 30 seconds to answer this particular activity. So first, number 1. After she won the race, her arrogance was bad. So circle the suffix ans or ant if you will be able to see that one in number 1. And then look for the picture which shows she, meaning a girl, having with arrogance. So a girl with arrogance. Which picture shows a girl? Because it's a she with arrogance. Number 2. Some flowers are very fragrant, while others are not. So the word fragrant, circle the suffix ant, and look and then match with a picture with a flower. Which picture shows a girl or someone smelling flower, because fragrant is a smell. Number 3. Tom studies a lot because he doesn't want to be ignorant. So look for a picture of Tom studying because he does not want to be ignorant. Don't forget to circle the suffix ans or ant in the word. Number 4. An orange tree in the spring can have a lovely fragrance. So the word is fragrance. Circle the suffix ans and then match with the picture that has orange tree. Okay. Number 5. He acted arrogant and his friends didn't like it. So, which of the picture had a boy acting arrogant? Don't forget to circle the suffix ans or ant when you see the word. And last, ignorance can cause low scores at school. So, which picture has a low score in a test or an exam? And then don't forget to circle the suffix ans or ant when you see the word. Okay, let's proceed to activity B. Since we already I will be giving you around, let's say 2 minutes to answer this one. With still the same words, ignorance, fragrant, arrogant, fragrance, ignorant, arrogance. Fill in the blanks to complete the sentence. Number 1. I smelled the wonderful blank of the hot apple pie. So, a smell which indicates, the word that indicates smell is either fragrance or fragrant. So which one are we gonna use here? I smelled the wonderful blank of the hot apple pie. What is that wonderful smell? Number 2, Beth doesn't want to be blank. She is always learning. So the lack of knowledge, you can use either ignorant or ignorance. Now, Beth does not want to be. So what type of person does Beth doesn't want to be? It explains or it describes the type of person. Which one are you going to use? Ignorant or ignorance? Number 3, a rose garden can be very blank in the summer. So you can use either fragrance or fragrant. Now for this particular sentence, it is trying to describe the smell of the rose garden. So what is the word that describes? Is it fragrance or fragrant? Number 4, the soccer player is so blank. He thinks he's the best. So it's like being very proud or unpleasantly proud. You can use either arrogance or arrogant. Now for this particular sentence, you're trying to describe the soccer player. So which one are you going to use? Arrogance or arrogant? Number 5, if you don't want to be blank, study hard. If you don't want to have blank, study hard. So again, the lack of knowledge, you can choose whether to use ignorant or ignorance. What do you want? What don't you want to have? It's a name. Are you going to use ignorance or ignorant? And lastly, the movie star's blank made people not like him. So still, it means unpleasantly proud, or it refers to an attitude. So you can use either arrogant or arrogance. So it's the subject here. What do you call that attitude? Attitude of that movie star that people don't like. Are you going to use arrogance or arrogant? Okay, so that ends the lesson for today. I do hope that you learned something from it, and don't forget to take a picture of your worksheet or a piece of paper that you answered so that you will be able to send it to me with the form that I will be sending on later on. So thank you so much for learning with me. You do have the rest of the day. Enjoy! Lesson for today. I do hope that you learned something